Am I the a-hole for leaving an equal inheritance to my stepson as my bio kids? I, 62 male, met my current wife, 39 female, 4 years ago, and we got married 2 years ago. She has a son, 12 male, from her previous marriage who lives with us full-time. His dad visits occasionally but lives in another country. I also have 2 adult children, 34 male and 32 female, from my first marriage. I will admit I don't have the greatest track record as a father. While my bio kids were growing up, we were kind of distant, as their mother and I were constantly fighting. She was a stay-at-home mom while I was running a business to varying degrees of success. However, when they became adults, we, bio kids and I, became much closer. My business also grew a lot and I am quite wealthy now compared to struggling to pay bills when my bio kids were growing up. My relationship with my stepson is quite good. He doesn't call me dad but seems to view me as a very close uncle. I do my best to be a good father figure to him. If I'm being completely honest, I hope that eventually he will see me as a father figure, especially given that his father is never really around and constantly disappoints him. So here's the issue. A few weeks ago, while I was going through some things in the basement with my bio son and daughter, the topic of inheritance came up. I mentioned how I planned to include my stepson in my will and he would get a third of the inheritance. I don't remember how exactly we got to this topic. Well, my kids are furious with me now, telling me this was unfair, as they had to grow up with a cold, emotionally and physically distant / unavailable father who struggled to bring food to the table. They mentioned how my stepson gets to live a luxurious childhood with a much kinder and more present / emotionally available and supportive parent than they had ever had, while not even being my real son. Then on top of that, they would lose out on the inheritance they feel they had earned for working so hard to repair our relationship after all the damage I had done to them. To clarify, that's not something they said. It's something I'm trying to be cognizant of because they absolutely could have walked away, but chose to try to repair our relationship before my business was even successful, and they both had a hand in making the business successful because they were willing to help out. I can understand their point of view. They feel like I'm sliding them from my new family with a much younger wife, and what they claim as a do-over child, which is not, but I can see why they see it that way. I want to do right by my stepson, but also my bio kids who did have to put up with a lot more during their childhood than my stepson. Am I the a-hole for planning to leave an equal inheritance to him? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole without a doubt. Why are you treating some random kid that you've known for 2 minutes the same as your actual real kids who you have apparently failed over and over again? I guess you can leave him a bit, but 1/3 is ridiculous. Agreed. He has this kid in his life for a hot minute, and he's already in the will? He isn't on the same level as the bio kids just yet. I would have waited to make sure the new wife and kid actually stick around before adding them in. And the kid doesn't even see him as a father figure either, just a close uncle. Absolutely wild. You're the a-hole. While theoretically it is lovely to leave something to a stepchild, you leaving an equal share to the child of your trophy wife is really tone deaf. Your bio children are not being greedy for not being pleased by your showing once again that you are not treating them fairly. You have shown them that you, who are old enough to be this kid's grandfather, now has decided to have a new family as a do-over. Also, you do realize that your stepchild is going to wind up with more than the bio kids anyway, since you are going to leave a sizable amount to your new trophy wife and you will almost assuredly die before her given the large difference in age. The stepchild is going to inherit from his mother the amount you left to her, as well as the 1/3 directly. And I bet you are also leaving the wife your house and other valuable personal property. A lot of bio kids have been screwed out of stuff when the father takes up a new family. When my grandfather passed 2 years ago, we discovered that he had moved most major assets into solely his second wife's name. So the terms of the will screwed my dad and his brothers and all the grandchildren out of basically everything. He was also a man who married a much younger woman. She was my oldest uncle's girlfriend in high school for some added drama, and was an absolute a-hole to my grandmother and their children their entire married life and beyond. We expected nothing, because he was awful, and got nothing. But that extra FU of his second family getting everything, except the token "I didn't forget you" stuff, and they don't see what the problem is the reason I'm low contact with any of that part of the family since grandma passed. Next story. Am I the a-hole for buying my nephew a gift rather than giving his parents the money? My 33 female nephew just turned 1. My sister-in-law Hannah, 34, and brother-in-law Dave, 34, are dual income and doing alright. They're firmly middle class. They own a home and go on a couple vacations a year. They decided to host a big party for their first and only child's first birthday. A little background. My husband and I are kind of known for getting good birthday gifts for nieces and nephews. They range in age from 1 to 13, and we know that the other two families struggle more financially than Hannah and Dave, who this post is about. So we have historically always asked what their child would like, and go out of our way to get them something special. I'm not talking big-ticket items like an iPad, but like $150 to $200 for each gift, each year. I asked Hannah what her son William would like, that he doesn't already have at home. She didn't answer my text, but later in the day, she sends a mass email to both sides of the family and friends who are attending William's first birthday. This was the email. Hi friends and family. We look forward to having you at William's first birthday. Some of you are asking what you can buy for him. What he really needs is a new deck to play on in our backyard. Therefore, we ask that everyone donate funds towards that goal, rather than physical gifts. The deck will cost a total of $10,000 and we anticipate that 35 of you will be attending. Please give as you're able. William will be so excited by this addition to his outdoor space. Love, Hannah, Dave, and William. So off the bat, this request sat weird with me. I understand shifting towards experience-based gifts over physical gifts. I see the environmental argument for that, and also the human element. But that's not what this was. It was a deck. And I'm fairly certain Hannah and Dave can afford this deck without a fundraiser. Anyway, the part that makes me an a-hole is that I decided to totally disregard the email and spent $200 on a new train table for William. I had noticed that I fell in love with the one at our house that our boys have. I justified it because he's too young to realize that his parents are cheating him out of gifts, as I see it. Hannah noticed the large box at a party among a pile of cards filled with money. She asked who brought it, and my husband, her brother, said, "We did." She said, "I specifically sent an email after getting your text. Did you not read it?" Husband told her to take it up with me. Later on, she told me she was really frustrated and disappointed in me because she expected we would be contributing the most to the deck, as we have more money than the other family members. I said we wanted to get something just for William. Hannah scowled and told the rest of the family that I was using her son's birthday to grandstand and make them look bad. Rest of the family split on it. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Lol, not the a-hole. This is just glorious. She expected we would be contributing the most to the deck, as we have more money. Jesus, the entitlement. Hannah scowled and told the rest of the family that I was using her son's birthday to grandstand and make them look bad. She made herself look bad by requesting that her family finance essentially in addition to her home, instead of buying a 1-year-old child some toys and outfits. He's probably just starting to walk and can't quite talk yet, but he is so excited about that new deck. My dad and stepmom had a deck remodel when my middle nephew was less than a year. He liked his blankets and toys way more than the deck itself. Not the a-hole. The deck will cost a total of $10,000 and we anticipate that 35 of you will be attending. That's a "give us $300 for home improvements" email. It's totally inappropriate. Let's chalk it up to them behaving oddly due to the stress of the current financial crisis. You buying a child's gift for a child's birthday party was perfectly appropriate. They were wrong to A. ask for a wad of cash, and B. then demand to know who dare buy their child a gift instead of giving them a wad of cash. Because she expected we would be contributing the most to the deck as we have more money than the other family members. This just gets worse. I guess it wasn't a "give us $300" email. It was a hint hint. "Stacy, you should give us $1,500 while everyone else gives us $250" email. I honestly think that the deck would be the one of those projects that's never completed, with the money going elsewhere. Then again, I'm very cynical. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not chipping in for my brother and his husband's surrogacy fund and prohibiting my parents from donating as well, since I support them financially? They live a super lavish life. In my family, I am the only one close to financially stable. My parents earned enough to have a middle-class income, but my mom was a big shopper and my dad would blow his money at the casino. Now, my parents are at an age where they can no longer work. They mainly live off my mom's pension and the money I give them every month to support them. My brother went into dance after college and his job after school was working as a retail associate at a luxury store. But he also has the same problem with his money, where all his money he spends on clothes and nights out. My brother married this guy who is 20 years older than him. Brother is 26. This guy's in his late 40s. Initially, this guy framed himself as the rich older guy, but that isn't the case. Here is the thing. They are now asking everyone to donate them money so they can pay for a surrogate in Mexico. First of all, I find this whole thing skeevy as heck with this poor woman from Mexico. But financially, these guys are going on trips left and right. They constantly lease and swap out cars. So when they asked me for money, I told them no. They tried to guilt me, and I said no, not at all. Then I get a call from my mom about taking out a home equity line of credit, and I was like, absolutely not. I told my mom and these guys that if they care about this so much, they can save up for it. And I forbid her to give money to my brother and his partner. She's like, okay then, I'll give a little bit. I tell her no. I tell her I am the one that pays their bills. If I find out that they gave a cent, I am going to cut them off as well. When my brother and his partner found out about this, they were very upset with me, and I told them I don't care. They are now calling me homophobic, etc., and that I am ruining their happy life. I told them I don't care. They can start saving money themselves, but I'm not going to spend a cent of my money to finance their lifestyle. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I don't think anyone but them should be asked to pay for their surrogacy costs. If they can't pay the surrogate fees, I wonder if they'll be able to over 18 years of child rearing costs. Opie's not the a-hole, but this rationale is always the worst. It makes no sense. Surrogacy is crazy expensive, as is IVF and adoption. Having money over 18 years to raise a child is very different than having to drop upwards of $100,000 at a one fell swoop. But again, to be clear, because I know someone will just skip right over this, Opie's not the a-hole here. It is not his responsibility to pay for his brother and his partner to have a surrogate. He already goes above and beyond for his parents, and he is not in the wrong for telling them he'll cut them off if they give his money to his brother indirectly. Not the a-hole. It is not homophobic to not want to give money to extremely financially irresponsible people. I do think you're on the fence with telling your parents what to do, but seeing as you also pay their bills, I would have done the same. The fact that they even tried to turn this into some sort of homophobia thing is disturbing. I hate when people do that. Like there is real hatred out there, and here they are throwing phobe around. Like no, I'm not meeting your financial demands. You are free to live as you like, but be a grown-up and finance your own life. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son that I don't play favorites and to get over his jealousy? I have 2 children, Laurel 24 and Kevin 15. Laurel is from my first marriage. Kevin and my wife think that I favor Laurel, but that's just not true. They've complained about it over the years, but now it's at a boiling point. The most recent complaint is that I gave her a free house. None of their accusations have ever been true, but this one especially isn't. I've been with the same company for over 35 years. Decades ago, my job made me and several other employees travel to their headquarters so often that they bought us condos in the home city because it was cheaper at a time than constantly paying for hotels. At the time, property in the city was cheap. We had free use, but technically the company owned them and they paid all expenses. In 2020, obviously all business travel stopped. At the time, Laurel was moving to that city with her new husband and they were looking for a place. Because it was just sitting empty and would be for a long time, I told her that they could live in a condo until things went back to normal. It would be safe and clean, and it would give them a chance to save money for a better place for their own as they were expecting their first child. In 2021, 2 things happened. The company decided to shut down all physical offices for a permanent work from home, and I decided to take my retirement. With closing the physical offices, they also really wanted to get rid of the condos. They offered them to us at an extra discount. I didn't want it, but Laurel did. So she and her husband offered to pay the cost, and I let them. It was less than 1/4 of market cost, but it wasn't free or a gift to her. Kevin realizes that there's not going to be anything like that for him, and he is raging about it. He claims I've always done things like this, and that I gave her a house, but I'm probably going to kick him out at 18 like every American parent. My wife is on his side and angry about this, and that I let Laurel be a stay-at-home mother, and not her. None of these things are true. I didn't give her a free house. I let her buy one for a discount, because she happened to be buying at the exact time that there was any opportunity for one. Also, she got to be a stay-at-home mother because she happened to be having a baby at the only time in modern history that required people to stay home, not because I was funding her. I realize how it must look, but really, she just ended up doing things in special situations where there were unique opportunities. I don't think I'm in the wrong here, because I don't treat my children differently. If I happen to come across an opportunity for Kevin to do the same with the same, I would make sure he's aware, but I can't imagine I would. Not the a-hole, but honestly, I feel like your wife is the source of what Kevin is spewing out. What 15-year-old boy cares about housing? It seems like your wife is using Kevin to try and get you to buy a property in his or her name to even the scoring between Kevin and Laurel. My thoughts exactly. There just ain't no way a 15-year-old on their own would suddenly realize there's not going to be anything like that for him. Not really. Most kids these days know they will never be able to afford a home. Not the a-hole. I have a question for the wife and son. My hypothetical daughter is learning piano and my coworker has one they want rid of, so I get it at 1/4 value. My fake daughter pays for the 1/4 herself. I spent nothing. Do I now owe my hypothetical son a piano? Is that their reasoning? Or a step further, I drive my fake kids to the mall and we walk around. My daughter's favorite store has a clearance sale on, so she's able to use her own money to buy a huge load of stuff. Do I now owe my son the value of the savings she made? I can't get my head around the entitlement here. Apparently, if you're married to Opie's wife, you do owe her hypothetical son a piano, because you should have told your hypo daughter and grandchild to go pound sand and seized the opportunity for yourself so that you can give the piano for free to your son. Or if it's a house and not a piano, save it for 9 years while paying taxes on it until your son is the same age and can pay you outdatedly cheap price for it. Then, and only then, would you be doing the fair thing. Seriously. Tell me she's a wicked stepmother without telling me she's a wicked stepmother. Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter live with me after my ex kicked her out? My ex-wife, 45 female, and I, 46 male, divorced 3 years ago and have 3 kids together. 24 male, 22 female, and 17 female. Since our 2 older kids were already moved out and in college when we divorced, the only custody and child support issue we had was our youngest daughter, Mary, who was 14 when we split. My ex wanted full custody while I was pushing for shared custody. I had moved into an apartment at this time and Mary would stay with her mom during the week because it was easier for school. She would come stay with me on weekends though. I answered any questions Mary had about our divorce, but I made it a point to never say anything negative. I didn't want Mary to think that anything she had done was the cause for our divorce. I cherished the weekends we spent together, and from everything I saw, Mary enjoyed our time together too. So it came as a huge surprise when Mary read a statement during a custody hearing stating that she felt I was unfit as a parent and that she wanted to live with my ex full-time. The pain I felt listening to her say those things cut me to my very core. I tried to talk with Mary after the hearing, but my ex stepped between us and told me to leave them both alone. I was heartbroken. Since then, I've only had rare visitations with Mary because she has consistently said that she wants nothing to do with me. No matter how bad it hurts, I never pushed her to spend any more time with me than she wanted to. I have paid every cent of child support and also continued contributing to her college fund. I have had many conversations with my other kids about Mary because I was so surprised by this change of behavior. They have both told me that Mary hasn't said anything specific to them about why she made the choice she did. Communication between my ex and I is not good, and she pretty much refuses to discuss anything related to Mary, who is going into her senior year of high school. I have recently moved in with my girlfriend of 1 year and her 3 kids, all under 15. Things have been good, and I'm happier than I've been since the divorce. But a few weeks ago, I got a surprise call from Mary. She said that my ex had kicked her out of the house, and she had nowhere else to go. I immediately told her that I would help any way I can. After talking with my girlfriend, we agreed to let Mary stay with us for a few days while we get things figured out. I talked with my ex, and it turns out Mary has been struggling with substance use and threw a huge party at my ex's house and trashed the place. After another talk with my girlfriend, we decided that we do not have the space to house Mary permanently. And with her current issues, my girlfriend does not feel comfortable having Mary around her kids, who have zero relationship with Mary. It broke my heart again, but I had to tell Mary that she can't stay with us. She yelled and screamed at me and reminded me that I said I would help. She's since gone back to my ex, and I know Mary needs help, but both her and my ex are refusing to speak with me. Now for the top comments. Your daughter is a minor. Your ex, who has full custody of her, cannot legally kick her out. If she does and the child lives with you, she will have to pay you child support. But also, dude, work on your relationship with your child. True, hate to say it, but Opie may need to get the authorities involved. Sounds like it's possible the ex orchestrated all of this. Info: have you considered that your ex might be lying or exaggerating the drug problem? Have you offered your daughter some form of rehab where she can live? When Mary was at our house, I talked to her about this. She said she just used weed and hasn't done anything else. She admits to throwing a party and that it got out of hand and some things in the house were damaged. I tried to suggest rehab or counseling, and she got defensive and told me that I can't expect her to listen to me when I've been out of her life for so long. Everyone sucks here, but I honestly think you're the a-hole. Through the entire post, you're upset about Mary not wanting to live with you and how hurt you were by the statement she made in court. Now you have the opportunity to spend time with your daughter and figure out why she said those things and what went wrong in your relationship. But instead of taking that opportunity, you tossed her out instead. Sounds like she was right to not want anything to do with you, if that's your idea of being a father. I don't have custody of Mary. My ex does. I do not know the legal implications of letting her live with us. Also, the house we live in belongs to my girlfriend, not me. I can't force her to allow Mary to live with us. She has her own kids to look out for. None of them have any relationship with Mary, so I don't blame her for being wary and cautious. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife and her parents that I won't force my youngest to call her mom? I have 2 children with my late wife. We had our oldest when we were just 20, and 6 years later we had our youngest. 3 months after the birth of our youngest, my wife died suddenly and unexpectedly. I found out after her passing that she'd had a heart condition that she was never made aware of. I was told to get both my kids tested, and both inherited a condition from their mom. That period of my life was traumatic as heck. Luckily, I had so many videos and photos of their mom to share. We also had her dad, who was amazing and the best grandpa to the kids. My son remembered his mom. My daughter was too young, but she's heard so much about her mom from her family. 2 years ago, I started seriously dating my current wife. I have known her for 4 years, and she met my kids once we got more serious, but not where we rushed into moving in. The kids are now 7 and 13. We've been married for a little over 5 months. We had talked about her relationship with the kids before we got engaged. She told me she wanted to be seen as another mom to them, so I spoke to my kids. My son was clear that she would never be a second mom. My daughter said she wasn't sure, but she didn't feel that way about her. I told them both their feelings were 100% understandable and fine. They both said they liked my current wife and they thought she was kind. I spoke to her about it then, and she told me she was fine if they weren't okay with it at a time. I told her she needed to be okay with it if they always felt that way. I told her she needed to be prepared for always being step to both of them. She took some time to think and said it was fine. But once our wedding happened, she seemed to grow agitated by the lack of mom title for my daughter. I think it bothers her less with my son because of his age, but she has told me she does feel different about it with my daughter because she is the only mom figure she has known. I suggested the two of us to go to therapy together to talk it out again, but she said it wasn't needed and that she would get over it. But then last week, she and her parents brought it up to me, how I should encourage my daughter to call her mom, and how my daughter deserves to have a mom in her life, how she'll never know her birth mother, which I hate that term for my late wife. They told me pushing her is the best thing for my daughter, but I told them I would never push her to do it, that her comfort in all of this is important to me, and feeling like nothing is forced on her. They told me I was putting my kids' feelings before my wife's, and I said yes. They told me I was a horrible husband and a horrible father for denying them both this. My wife's mother said I was an a-hole to string her daughter along. I told my wife we need therapy with us, and also told her our marriage was hanging on by a thread. In truth, I'm doubting our marriage over this. The kids do like her a lot and enjoy having her around, which makes this suck extra hard. Am I the a-hole? They told me I was putting my kids' feelings before my wife's. I said yes. Freaking legend. Not the a-hole. I sincerely hope Opie also looked at them like they were stupid when he said yes. Because honestly, the gall of these people to expect him to subjugate his child's emotional needs and growth to his wife's wants. Not even a want. It's a whim at best. What does it matter if they consider her as a mom or as a thundercat? As long as they get along well and they respect her, it doesn't matter. My condolences on the loss of your wife. How incredibly heartbreaking. Also, not the a-hole. It irks me that your current wife refers to your first wife as a birth mother. That stings. I hope the kids were not in earshot. It makes me smile to read about your keeping your wife's memory alive. Those kids are blessed to have you as their dad. If your current wife will not agree to counseling and continues to push the issue, which she had agreed to drop, it's time to consider a change. It stung for me too, and I can't put all the reasons into words. It feels so dismissive, like she walked out on our daughter or gave her up for adoption. But my late wife was an amazing mom. She was a really thoughtful mom too. I learned so much from parenting alongside her. Sounds like you have a huge decision to make very soon regarding your marriage, my dude. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband on the deed? I, 37 female, have been married to my husband, 38 male, for 10 years. We both worked good jobs, had a house with a mortgage, and otherwise lived normal lives, until 5 years ago when everything turned upside down. My husband has always liked to gamble. It was never excessive. Poker nights with the boys, a couple of trips to Las Vegas, the lottery, and that was it. Or so I thought. Eventually, all the lies and the secrets came out. He'd been gambling. A lot. Online illegal poker games, horse race betting, everything you could put money down on. He had secret credit cards, emptied our savings account without me realizing, and even took a loan out against our house, faking my signature to do so. Eventually, his brother convinced him to tell me. I'd always been good with money. I'd never been stupid. But I relaxed around my husband because I had no reason to believe he'd do something like this. We had to sell our house to pay off the loan and mortgage. We paid off some of the credit cards and bookies, but still had a mountain of debt. We even put off having kids because we were no longer financially secure. My dad, 72 male, came to our rescue. He had a decent pension enough to live on, and gave me some of his savings to pay off the rest of the debt so we could rebuild. I had initially refused, but he said it was an early inheritance and I was desperate. My husband went to Gamblers Anonymous. He had to be completely transparent with his internet and phone usage with me and his brother. If he left to go out with friends, he would have to send a photo to show he wasn't gambling. I was tricked because I said it was that or I left. He hasn't gambled in 3 years. He did slip just before the 2-year mark, ended up losing $1,500 at poker. He apologized, continued on the meetings, and nothing since. My dad recently passed, and with the sale of his estate and his savings, we have enough to buy a house again, with only a small mortgage. The issue is, I don't want my husband on the deed. The idea of us losing everything again because he remortgaged/put a loan against the house terrifies me. I don't know how I would survive if we lost it all again. I broached the idea of just my name on the deed, and when I explained why, he called me an a-hole. He said I clearly don't trust him, and if I don't trust him, why am I still married to him? His brother also called me an a-hole, said I've seen how hard it's worked and I need to forgive him and just move forward. Am I the a-hole? Sorry, I should have made it clearer. Husband stopped gambling immediately 5 years ago, made it to nearly 2 years before the relapse, and has since been 3 consecutive years sober. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your money that you're using to buy your house. House is yours. Only your name on the deed is good enough. The issue is he would be contributing to the mortgage. It isn't going to be huge. We will likely be able to pay it off in 5 to 6 years, so he would be paying something towards the house. Has he repaid you for what you've paid towards his debt? If not, his contribution to the mortgage is just what is paying you back for when he lost your house 5 years ago. Hubs is still in the negative here. OP doesn't share the total debt amount, but if it's large enough to warrant house sale, savings, and early inheritance from OP's dad, that's not a trifling sum. In the biz, we call that in the red. But gambling ruins families. Pretty much any addiction does. OP not the a-hole. You unfortunately have to make this tough decision for the good of everyone. He slipped up a year ago if I'm reading right. He will still have a place to live, and maybe in the future you two can sell this house and buy another. But for now, you have to look out for yourself. Not the a-hole. It's your money from the inheritance, so you get to decide how to use it. The simple fact you're still married to him demonstrates that you've forgiven him and moved on. You've earned the right to protect yourself by keeping only your name on the deed. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now for the last story, am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she does nothing? I, 33 male, am married to Molly, 36 male. We have a son, Theo, 5 male. Molly and I got married 7 years ago, but both decided to focus on our careers before we jumped into anything ultra responsible, like children. I'm a journalist and she was a midwife, and we both did very well for ourselves. Our combined income meant we could actually survive this economy. Because we were so financially stable and kind of getting on the older end of the spectrum for children, we decided to have our first and only child, which is Theo, of course. When Theo was born, Molly and I both took time off work to spend the first few weeks with him. But eventually, my paid break ended and I was forced to go back to my job. Molly did not go back. In fact, Molly did not go back for so long that she was fired. This caused a giant rift between us at a time, but we came to the agreement that she could be a stay-at-home mom while I went to work. This worked out for a few months, until Theo started walking, and then Molly stopped doing anything around the house. She would go out with Theo all day, and I would inevitably come home to laundry everywhere, toys scattered, kitchen a mess, and just no sense of cleanliness at all. I would end up having to clean the house after an 8-hour shift, only to have to work on reports. This has continued for the whole 5 years of Theo's life. Molly has been terrible at cleaning or taking care of the house at all, but she does good with Theo, feeding him, cleaning him, etc., but I'm always left to clean the messes afterwards. At the time, I thought maybe it was too much for her and asked if she wanted to hire a nanny while we both worked, but she refused. I've asked her to maybe clean up a little before I come home. She agreed, did it for a time, and then stopped. Yesterday I had enough. I came home from work only to find Play-Doh all over the living room, kitchen ingredients left out on the counters, water spilled over the hallway, toys everywhere, food on the floor. I feel need to clarify that I understand kids make messes. But this wasn't just Theo's mess. It was Molly's mess too. It was extra stress. And I finally snapped. I told Molly that I was done with it, and that I wasn't going to clean these messes anymore. And that it was practically her job to clean the house, and that she does literally nothing. So this should be easy for her. She snapped back saying that she takes care of Theo all day, and is teaching him and making him into a good person. Partially a lie since Theo now goes to school between 9 and 3. She said that kids make messes, and if I can't deal with that, then I shouldn't be a father. That I was horrid to say she does nothing when she takes care of a 5-year-old while I'm away. It stopped after a while because Theo came inside from where he was playing in the garden, but I got told to sleep on a couch. I came back from work half an hour ago and I'm still getting silent treatment. So I want to know if I was in the wrong and should apologize. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Theo is in the 2nd year of school. He started when he was 4 and will finish when he's 11. Not the a-hole. Your wife is doing nothing. Sure, childcare is hard, and taking care of a child all day can be a tough thing to do. But your son is in school for 6 freaking hours. What is she doing during that? That's more than enough time to do housework. I myself need an hour to simply mop the floor, do laundry, and do the dishes. Especially the messes your kid makes. Play-Doh on the floor would have earned me a slap on the head and an order of, pick it up and put it away nicely. Your wife is doing nothing all day while your kid is in school and then has the audacity to call you a bad father for working and cleaning? This woman is a joke. OP, I need you to show her this comment section later. And the whole teaching the kid to be a good person. Part of that is teaching your child to clean up after themselves. My 17-month-old helps pick up her toys. She helps throw away the trash and brings her plates to us to wash it. This is a 17-month-old toddler. A 5-year-old kid? They should be cleaning up their own messes by that age. Am I the a-hole for not telling my husband he smells sooner and ruining a friend's wedding? This week was the wedding of 2 of my husband's 33 male and my 31 female longtime friends. For some background, recently we've been having some issues. I told him I needed some space, so we agreed he should move back in with his mom temporarily. I wasn't thrilled about this because she tends to baby him, though I had to accept it as he had nowhere else to go and I wanted him out of the house. I wonder what to do about the wedding. We talked and decided it would be best for us to go together and for him to move back home afterwards. He didn't have time before the wedding to pack his things up, and so got ready at his mom's while I got ready at home and we planned to meet there. When he arrived, I was already chatting with friends. He came over to us and immediately I noticed his rotten stench on him. He smelled like he'd been dumpster diving. It made my eyes water a little. I noticed our friends noticing, but he was completely oblivious and kept on chatting. I tried to let him know discreetly, but he was not getting the hint at all. We took our seats in the chapel and the service was beautiful. By this point, my nose had pretty much tuned out the smell, but it was clearly affecting other people and I still hadn't had a chance to let him know. After the service, I saw an old girlfriend I hadn't seen in years and wanted to catch up. Apparently, while I was chatting with her, a friend had pulled hubby aside and basically told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car, we argued, and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that in front of friends, and I was probably laughing behind his back. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower. Usually he'll come in when I'm in. I was speechless and said nothing the entire car ride home while he berated me. This morning I checked my phone, and we have both been removed from a number of group chats that included friends that went to the wedding. I heard through some friends that the bride feels we ruined her day, as more people were talking about my husband than we thought, and she no longer wants to speak with us. I'm shocked and really hurt by this, and have been feeling guilty all day. I didn't want to embarrass him by letting him know when other people were around, but now I've costed him friends and feel like I handled it all horribly. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car we argued and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that. Strong opening. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower. There it is. I'm gonna go not the a-hole. Your husband is the one who ruined their day by showing up smelling like a whale carcass. You could have said something. You did not. From his reaction, I'd bet he'd be mad either way, telling him or not telling him. And honestly, he should be embarrassed. He is a grown man, living with his mom, who still requires his wife to call him daily to remind him to shower. Nope. A 33-year-old man has to be reminded to shower? Leave him with his mom. He evidently needs a little more help from mom in being a grown-up. Not the a-hole. Seriously, I can't believe he pulled that nonsense on Opie, and she didn't kick him out permanently. Did his mommy need to remind him to shower every day before he moved out of home? Did past roommates need to check his hygiene before he left the house? My teenage stepbrother has autism, and even he remembers to shower daily and wear deodorant. And if he couldn't smell the rotting stench coming off him while everyone else could, then clearly he is too used to his own nasty scent. Vomit. I think Opie needs space from her partner permanently. Send him back to mommy. Not the a-hole, but your husband is. You want to stay married to this poor excuse of a man? Seriously? No one, and I mean literally no one, should have to tell their spouse to shower. Being forgetful is no excuse for poor hygiene. Does he not have a nose? Is he incapable of smelling or even feeling the filth on his body? The fact that he berates you and puts this entire situation on you would be enough for me to make the separation official. This is appalling behavior. Also, he obviously knew what day it was. He had to dress up and prepare for the occasion. Who doesn't shower before going to a wedding? Look, I've been known to push my luck in terms of time between showers. I'm gross, I admit it. But I would never, ever go to a special event without showering that day. Ideally, pretty much immediately before going, so I can be as clean and fresh as possible. This guy must have some executive functioning issues to not shower before dressing up for a wedding. Which, okay, everyone's got their issues, but he's a total a-hole for blaming his wife for it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blocking access to my food and threatening no help with accommodation? I, 22 male, am in my first serious relationship with Hannah, 25 female. We have been together just under a year. She moved into my place 3 months ago. Everything was fine at the beginning, but once we started seeing each other more frequently, I noticed her bad habit. Every time we went out and food was involved, she would sample my food before I got to it. We are not just talking of a chip here and there for my chip butt sandwich. In actual classy places, she would take the first chunk of my steak/salmon/cake. You name it, she would take the first bite. I had several talks with her about this, but she said it was cute and not sinister. 4 months ago, Hannah got a job with training opportunity. After completion, when she returns to her normal place, the salary will be higher. My place is 40 minutes closer than where she used to live, and I offered her to live with me rent-free if she stopped this behavior. The first month, she stuck to our agreement. The second month, she slipped up a few times. This last month, she has gone back to her old ways. And last weekend was the turning point. I bake, it's a hobby, and I made a cake. After dividing it into 8, I left it in the fridge while I went out with a friend. Usually, when I bake and friends drop me off, I will fetch a few slices and thank them for the lift home with the cake. Imagine my surprise when I saw that each piece had a bite taken. I phoned my friend that I owed him cake and he need not wait for me to come back down. I was angry. I told her that she embarrassed me and we needed to figure out a solution. She went defensive and said she ate it due to loving me so much. That all women do this, and guys love it. I made it very clear that she needed to stop now, or there would be consequences. Next day, I bought a lockbox for the fridge. She was livid, but couldn't do much. Last night, she broke the lock and had taken a bite out all of my snacks and 2 slices of baguettes in there. I told her to pack her stuff and leave, while I stay with my mother for a few hours. She called me an a-hole for making her homeless and possibly ruining her employment opportunities. Guys, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Also, major red flags here. She went defensive and said she ate it due to loving me so much, that all women do this and guys love it. Nope, they don't. This is very weird behavior. She's ignoring your boundaries and then she's using your inexperience against you to manipulate you into thinking this is normal. This is not a person who is acting in good faith here. This is a woman who is trying to use your inexperience and things like societal pressure on women regarding food to make you think your very normal boundaries and emotional reaction to your boundaries being crossed is incorrect. She's trying to get you to doubt yourself, your ability to set boundaries, and your emotional reactions. This person is bad news. Get away from her. It's super weird. The only time I taste my boyfriend's food is if he offers it to me. Honestly, I expect my partners will be taking bites of my food. I'm a chef. I love to cook, I love to eat, and I love to share food experiences. I understand I may be in the minority with this. That said, you can get out of here if you think you're getting the first, second, or even third bite of my food. I need a minute to enjoy it. Try to play it as it's meant. This behavior from Opie's girlfriend is beyond bizarre. It's super controlling. It feels like she's marking her territory. That is not cute. And the fact that she thinks it is shows complete immaturity. Taking a bite out of every slice of a cake doesn't show love. It shows selfishness because nobody else can have a piece. She will likely be a controlling, possessive partner as time goes on. And you'd be so much better off not just kicking her out, but ending the relationship as well. Not stay home. It shows I'm possessive of you and your stuff and ruining it for everyone else. She's bad news. Get her out ASAP. And don't leave her alone in there. Also, change the locks ASAP. That possessive behavior can easily turn dangerous. If possible, have a camera pointed at your car. I have a bad feeling she's going to mess with it too. Not the a-hole. I'm a woman and I can confirm that neither I nor any other woman I have ever met does this. It is not a thing that women do. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for making my mom cry and hurting her marriage? Background. My mom has me, 16 female, and my brothers Nico, 17 male, and Shay, 18 male with our dad. He died on my 5th birthday really suddenly. Mom was young and had the 3 of us, and she ended up meeting our stepdad less than a year later. I think it was about 2 years after my dad died that she introduced him to us as her boyfriend, and they married fast after that. At the time, Mom and my stepdad wanted him to adopt us and to change our last names to his, so we could be a legal family and share a family name. We had said no, but they went through the process for the adoption, and when it came time for court, the judge took us aside and we spoke to him and expressed that we did not want to be adopted or have our last name changed. It's not something I remember the best because at the time I was really upset, but the end result was the judge turned down the adoption request and the change of name request. My grandma said that the judge told my mom and stepdad that he didn't want to leave us feeling even more robbed of our dad by taking away his name and his ties to us legally. After that, my stepdad tried so hard to get us to start calling him dad. He always called us his kids, his daughters/sons, etc. But he made for a real emphasis on how much he wanted to be our dad and how he wanted to feel us accept him in that kind of way. Mom would sit and tell us how we were blessed to have 2 dads, one in heaven who looked down on us, and one who was with us on earth and could raise us and be the parent we needed. She said it would be such a positive thing to embrace him as our dad. My brothers and I never did call him dad. Mom had more kids with our stepdad, and they call him dad, but it was always a problem that we didn't. My oldest brother graduated last year and he moved out soon after. He graduated early, and there were some things that went down which resulted in Mom and stepdad bringing Nico and me to therapy with them. 4 weeks ago during therapy, my mom and stepdad brought up how tired he is of feeling like he raised us for nothing because we never show him the love he believes he deserves, and we don't show him the respect he wants by denying him the title of dad. They said he is very close to leaving. So Mom asked if either of us would consider trying to be more open to the idea. Would we at least refer to him as dad to others even if we don't call him dad to his face? I said I would never be okay with that. My brother too. Mom cried, and my stepdad, well, I think that was a breaking point for him. It feels like their marriage is all but over, and deep down I know both of them blame me and my brothers. I hate seeing Mom so upset, and my stepdad can't hide the fact he's angry with us over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They tried to force the adoption down your throats when none of you wanted it. And now he says this is a deal breaker for the marriage? If that's true, he never really wanted a marriage. He just wanted to be a dad. Which, considering they had kids together, he is. And if he considers leaving because his stepchildren aren't calling him dad while his real children do, I don't know, he seems weird. It sounds like it's just about control. He doesn't like that the older kids won't comply with his demand. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting someone off financially because they were acting entitled? Plus little update. I, 25 female, have an average paying job, doing body piercing, so earn enough to live off. My friend Lottie, 24 female, who I had been friends with since I was little, did not come from a financially fortunate family and has no job. Extra info? No disabilities, mental disorders, or anything at all to stop her working. Plus, she has a public transport pass. So ever since I got a job at 16 years old, I supported her financially, treating her to meals and trying to help her avoid takeaways for her well-being. I even paid clothes for her. And when she was 18, I paid for 1/4 of her apartment rent and hair salon appointments. Keep in mind, she is on government benefits. This continued, which is absolutely fine, and she always told me she liked the unemployed life as the reason she didn't work. All was okay, until I officially started making more money at 21 years old. I began treating her to more designer clothes and shoes, but nothing like Gucci or Chanel, as a treat for being a good friend. She began to meet a few friends, whom of which never knew her financial situation, I presume, and would only wear her best designer clothes around them, and high heels plus jewelry. I was happy she was wearing them confidently. She started to ask to bring her friends over to my house a lot. I do not know these people. Met a few times but not introduced properly, and I was okay with that, as I know she was a bit insecure. Until it became every single week. One night, she asked to throw a quiet casual gathering at my house while I was at my boyfriend's, which I was entirely fine with. Well, what do I come back to? Beer bottles everywhere, my stuff thrown about the place, my cats scared, my clothes ripped, and multiple of my practice piercing ears ripped. There were even used tampons on the bathroom floor and vomit was everywhere. I collected my cats and briefly went to my bedroom, which thank goodness had a lock, whilst waiting for everyone to leave. Then I heard Lottie and her friend talk, and Lottie was talking about how she was grateful that her friends came to her house, and that Lottie was making £60,000 a year. She said something along the lines of, "Yes, if you ever need any designer, let me know and I'll buy you some." And that's how I found out all the designer clothes she didn't wear that I bought her were given to her friends that all have jobs. So when everyone left, I was furious. I stormed at her and shouted, "Give me my stuff back and get a freaking job. I will not be supplying for you at all. I don't want my stuff back. You're an adult and grown up enough to stop acting like I'm your mummy." She refused to give me my stuff back, so I told her if she didn't give me my stuff back, I would tell her friends about it all. So she obliged and started acting the victim by saying, "But I don't want to work." So I told her to get out, and she did, and I spent 3 hours cleaning my place. 2 weeks later, I'm still friends with her, but getting calls from her begging to have some money. Everyone in my life thinks I'm an a-hole for this. Not an a-hole, but girl, if you can go to therapy, I think it will help you unpack why you let this woman ride your back for so long. I'm actually in therapy, but I had known her since I was a kid, so I had that emotional connection and trust. You had it, but unfortunately, I don't think she did. Hers seems centered around what she can get from you. I'm sorry, your, hopefully ex, friend sucks. You deserve way better. Not the a-hole. She's a lifelong mooch, and not your friend. You have no responsibility for her life and financial situation. You never did. Of course, she likes the unemployed life and doesn't want to work. She's getting a free ride off the government and your hard work. I will say, you did kind of set yourself up for this by feeding into her mooching behavior since childhood. But you're both adults now. And able-bodied adults have to work whether we want to or not. That's just life. You really would be doing yourself a favor to cut her, and anyone else who doesn't see what an ungrateful leech she is, out of your life and find better friends who truly appreciate when you decide to treat them. And don't just constantly have their palms out of your money. Thank you for your feedback. I have noticed a significant difference in my money management since cutting her off financially. And the only reason I ever did give her money was because she'd always, I presume, lie about how little money she actually had. And again, lied that nobody else was willing to give her money. Then you should have given her job applications if she had little money. I tried. Update: we aren't friends anymore.